Jacked Up Review Show. It's a Jacked Up Review Show. Jacked Up Review Show. It's a Jacked Up Review Show.
Join us as we cover many an insane movie and numerous cult TV phenomenons. Are you ready to get jacked up? Are you with us? Then listen on.
Jacked Up Review Show. It's a Jacked Up Review Show. Jacked Up Review Show. It's a Jacked Up Review Show. It's a Jacked Up Review Show. Jacked Up Review Show.
Hey, oh. So here we are again, just another fun interview with another cult legend. And here tonight is Joel D Wynkoop. Welcome.
Well, hello there. Thank you.
Okay. So I've been very familiar with Joel for a while. He was just one of those guys who, much like W. Rokon and Joe Estevez, was just an independent direct-to-video legend, just always popping up in just all kinds of movies that were micro budget, and it just everyone wants to work with him. He's got a great attitude, and some people might know him about him from working with other cult legends like Tim Ritter and Kevin Lindemuth. He first popped up on my horizon when I read a book by, I want to say, J.R. Bookwalter, I think.
Oh, cool.
And I don't know I can't remember if you were interviewed specifically or just mentioned by the filmmakers, but I just knew that you were just like the go-to just because of movies like Addicted to Murder and Alien Conspiracy and Horror Tales 666. Yeah.
That's so neat because I've got some of the books that I've been in, but I know there's a bunch of them that I have no idea that I'm in them. I do these interviews and then people have them and then they're in the books and a lot like the J.R. Bookwalter. I don't think I have. I know I have the Kevin Lindemuth one. But there's been so many that are out there, and I try to keep track of them. But you really, it's really hard to do that. So it's fun to find out that here's another book that's got me in it. And they're talking about me in the movies and stuff. So that's always cool to hear.
Stellar. And so I'm gonna just go a little ways back. I don't think it's ever really been asked, and you can correct me if I'm wrong. When I knew you had, again, like a Super 8 camera and were helping out Tim Ritter with his short stories and everything, but what really, did you actually go to some acting schools or?
The only real acting I had was in high school in I don't know if it was 70. My last year would have been 79. I think that's what it was. I had filmmaking, but also in it might have been the same year, 79, and even in 78, I had drama because Mr. Martin at Suncoast High School was my drama teacher. And then, and then I had filmmaking in 79, and pretty much everybody in the class, they were always like, Wynkoop guys always drawing pictures and talking about Star Trek and Spider-Man. He's a dork. But when we started filmmaking, everybody knew I made movies, and it really the whole class was like, "Hey, can I be in your club? Can I be in yours? Can I be in your movie?" And finally, the Mrs. Harper was my filmmaking teacher, and she said, "Excuse me, everybody in this room can't be in Joel's group. I'm only letting 7 people." I think it was less, but there was one guy, Bruno Beeler, and I said, and my heart goes out to, anybody that's, struggling and especially in high school, you get people that want to beat you up and are mean to you. And Bruno was always picked on. So I asked him, I go, Bruno, what are you going to do? He goes, oh, I don't know. I got a little brownie camera. I'm thinking, geez, I'm outdated with my Yashica Super 8. He's got a freaking brownie wind-up camera. So I told him, I go, Bruno, you want to be in my group, buddy? And he's like, oh, yeah, thank you so much. I go, okay, I'll put you in. And then there was another guy, Jose Garcia, and he said to me, he goes, Joel, could I be in your group too? And I had no problems with it. There was other guys in there that would want to beat me up. I didn't want nothing to do with them. So I told Jose, I go, yeah, man, you can be in it. And then, of course, my regular friends, Glenn Morey and Mike Greenberg, they were already going to be in my movie. And so it ended up with about 7 people. And then my friend Gene Olson was like, I can't do anything. Can I just be in your movie? And I go, yeah, man. And that's where it came from. And that's when Mrs. Harper said, everybody can't be in Joel's group. No, you're going to have to do something else on your own. So that was really fun. But that's, I mean, as a kid, I was always running around, when I was 5 and 6, I was playing Batman. My neighbor made me this Batman cape. So that was really the start of me.
I remember you saying that. You said you were just like a fan of Adam West. And is that also why you started to do some comic books, or were you already kind of a comic book reader?
Well, when I got to, I didn't read comic books when I was in Minnesota. It was like a whole discover for me. When I moved from Minnesota, and that was all Batman on TV and the cartoons. And then when I moved to Florida, at Lake Park, Florida, that's when I discovered, who's this guy, Spider-Man? What is this guy? And then the 7-Eleven had comic books on a rack. You could spin around and buy comic books. So I started, buying the comics and
do they still even do that anymore? I see discounted Blu-rays and everything and other stuff, but I can't remember the last time I've seen other than just generic newspapers.
Yeah, unless it's somebody's store that they completely control. But like, for instance, I went to 7-Eleven in the 70s, and that's where I got all my comics. But I go to 7-Eleven now, there's not a comic in the place. You're not going to find a comic or a rack or, they have magazines, but not, comic books. Now you got to go to a specific comic book shop. But in my day, every week, every month, a new issue would come out. But I'd be up there every week looking through all the comic books. And I remember one day I was really sick, and I was in bed for the day, and my mom was going out, left me home. That's when actually there was an earthquake in Lake Park, Florida, because the lady on TV was like, I thought it was another Guatemala, because the earth shook, the house shook, and I was like, and I was home alone in bed, and I'm like, did the house just shake, or did I dream that? But that was the day my mom went out, and I said, can you just pick me up a bunch of comic books? And she brought me back Blue Devil and Spider-Man and Superman and Batman and Aquaman. And then I had those to read the rest of the day, when I was sick in bed. So I always had the attraction to comics. And then I started drawing them in 1968, 1969. I found them recently in my storage unit way back from the 70s. In 1968, all the drawings I did in school, and it's got a little staple in the corner. It would be like Jim and John drove their cars, and then you flip the page, and it goes, they wanted a drag race, and you flip the page. They crashed, and you flip the page. John and Jim are dead now, and that was the end.
Oh my God, how traumatic for a kid. Man.
Yeah, that was when I was like 8 years old. So I had all these one-page things, or 3 or 4 or 7 pages. And then I got a notebook, and then I started making my own comics with Spider-Man and Green Lantern. And I was mixing Marvel with DC and just drawing them, for myself.
Oh, don't do that now, man. They'll be all toxic on you. It's the wrong time.
Yeah,
that's the Avengers, not the Justice League. Oh.
Yeah. But yeah, and then so, later in life, not even that much later in life, it was when I was still in high school. Then I started making my own comics at home. It was called My Version, and I told all the stories of the DC and Marvel universe, and I would put them together from all the knowledge I learned from DC and Marvel, and then I put them in my stories. I had one with the Fantastic Four and the Avengers and the Justice League, and they were all teamed up, and then Reed Richards was saying, oh, that's like the negative zone. And I had Captain America meeting my character, which was Ray Blast, and Ray Blast was saying, wow, because the Human Torch just burst into flames and flew up in the sky, and Captain America was going, amazes me every time too, son. So I was doing all these stories.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So it kind of stuck, and then I was still drawing and stuff, and then I did those Force 9 comics, I don't know, 10 years ago or something. And Yeah, and they just kind of released those, sold a whole lot of those at conventions and stuff. So, but my art wasn't up to, you know, Steranko or and any of these other. In fact, I even had Dave Cockrum when I met him at a convention. I went up to, you know, I stood in line. I'm waiting. You know, I haven't done any movies or nothing, so I'm not making any appearance. I'm there as a fan, and I finally went through the whole line and got to Dave Cockrum, and he pencils the X-Men. So that was a big deal. He did Nightcrawler and Wolverine. So I got to him and I said, "Oh, Mr. Cockrum, if I drew something, could you take a look at it and tell me, you know, what you think, if I have any talent?" He goes, "Yeah, I'll either look at it and tell it's good, or I'll tell you it's a piece of shit." And I was like, wow. And I go, okay, thanks, I think. And then I left and I went out into the hallway and I drew this picture of Ray Blast flying through what I would call Nardia, where my superheroes hung out. And it was rough and everything. But I brought it back, got back in line, stood in line for like 25, 30 minutes, whatever. Because everybody goes up and gets to say hello and buy a whatever, a picture or something. And I get up to him and I go, "Hey, Mr. Cockrum, I had asked you if you could look at, you know, my picture. I drew this really quick out there. I was wondering, you know, if I could show it to you now." And he goes, "Yeah." And he takes it and he goes, "Oh God, what do you want me to say about this? You need a lot of help in anatomy. This is horrible. This is a piece of shit." And then he showed it to Nordell, the guy that did the original Green Lantern from back in the, you know, the 40s.
Bitch, he's got all the contacts and he's roasting you in front of him.
Yeah, and he showed it to him and he goes, "Look at this. Wasn't that's a big mess is what that is." And the Nordell guy goes, he's like, "What are all these scratches and you got these lines and you got these lines and scratches and you got it sketched?" I go, "Well, that's my style, kind of like Carmen Infantio." "Oh, you're trying to say that you're Carmen Infantio?" And I go, "Oh my God, no, I'm just, forget it, man." I said, thank you very much. And then I left because I'm like, why are you getting that? And then I was like, I went to my friend right after I left the table. I go, "I'm never buying another X-Men comic ever, not with his name on it."
Fuck that guy. Yeah, I've had that before where I would be at a networking event and I'd have all these unknowns who, you know, hadn't done anything, and they'd start roasting other people, acting like your script was nonsense or like your ideas weren't making sense. And it's like, you're not constructive. You're just picking on the small guy because it's easy. It's easy to do.
When you're younger, you kind of get over it sooner. Like if you did that now, I take it more to heart. Well, I kind of don't, because I know everybody's got an opinion. But then you get over it more, because I just, you know, walked away like, man, he was being a jerk. The one thing he was telling a story at once, and I'm saying, and then I didn't think about it then, but I do now, where he said, he goes, "Well, we had one guy, I drew a picture, and then he went around and he started insulting us and putting us all as artists down and saying we were terrible and we were all going to get together and kill him." And I was looking at him like, what? And then he's like, "Well, we weren't going to kill him." And I'm thinking, so what the guy did to you guys is what you're doing to me now, but it's okay.
Yeah, I have another guy who won't be named, but I've had a few other people who even, you know, gotten that from like filmmakers, like even, you know, I know they're beloved, but like even Fred Olen Ray or Jim Wynorski, they seem like they're bipolar on some days where you compliment them and they'll be like, "Oh, I fucking hate that movie. I'm glad you like it." Or vice versa. "Oh, I made that movie out of my heart." And you just don't know if they're messing with fans. They just think it's funny, they're getting off on it, or just something else just weird. And it's just like, no, there's this thing called actual interaction. Acknowledge. You don't have to agree. Just acknowledge, and we'll go from there.
Yeah, well, I don't even mind that, because I would rather have somebody say it's a piece of crap than have them kiss my ass and say, "Oh, it's so good. I loved it. It's the greatest movie in the world. This should be the best movie. Spielberg should." When someone starts getting that way with me, I'm going, dude, lighten up. My stuff's not that good, man. My stuff's barely likable. Just leave it at that. You don't have to go on and make a big deal out of it. It's, you know, it just is what it is. Don't get crazy on me. So I'd rather, and then that goes to, I'd rather just have an honest review. I don't want somebody to blow it up. Just say, "Yeah, watch." Now, on the other hand, I got one guy that looked at one of my movies and he goes, "Your audio still sucks." And that kind of hurt, because I'm going, if he only knew all the grief I'm going through to get this movie out and do the best I can with an inadequate editing system, you'd be more like, "Oh yeah, no, I understand. I mean, it's not freaking Independence Day. I don't have the budget of that. Come on, give me a break.
Yeah, there unfortunately are some guys who are very tech savvy, and I get that audio is key, but at the same time, like, you gotta, if that's all you're going to say and you're not going to give us anything more, then, it's just like, come on, we're all trying to do something here. But, your more recent movies have included, of course, Like an Animator, Strip City Slasher. I can't believe I said that with a straight face. Girls Gone Dead, Clownado, and more recently, Ouija Mummy. And Dino Gore. So, are you often recognized by occasion, especially by people who watch a lot of B movies or low budget?
It's really funny because when that stuff started happening, it was so awesome. I remember being in the Palm Beach Mall, which is just a great big mall down in Palm Beach, and that was our old stomping grounds from when we were in high school and stuff. Well, I'm walking through the mall, and this is when I just did Creep, so it was in 1996 maybe after Creep had come out. And there's a little place in there, used to be called Suncoast Motion Picture, and on my shirt was a picture of my son David and I, and it said, I had it printed, Creeps 2, the sequel, just funny, but my son David was making a face and I was making a face, and that was on my shirt. And I walked into Suncoast Motion Picture, and the manager there looks at my shirt and he goes, "Oh, Creep, I love that movie." And he looks at me and he goes, "You're the creep. The creep's in my store." And then he went out into the mall and started yelling, "Everybody come into my store. The creep is here. The creep is in my store. Joel Wynkoop is here." And I was eating it up because I'm like, I never got recognized before. This is great. And people are actually coming in. He's making more of a big deal than it was. And I was doing autographs, and I'm thinking, I'm not Tom Cruise. I'm just some guy struggling to break into acting. But those times were great. I was with Jason LaCorey one time on a movie set, and we were just got done talking about, if we were ever recognized. And Jason said he was, and I told him about the few times that I had. And we just got done speaking about it. He pulled his car up. He got out. I opened my door. I got out, and this guy goes, "Joel Wynkoop's here." And I didn't know this guy from nobody. He was just another actor. And I thought, he goes, "Of course I know you. You're in Dirty Cop No Donut." And then I was in McDonald's. My wife, Kathy, and I were in a McDonald's in line. And this guy, I saw it out of the perfume of my eye. He looked at me, and then he looked away. And then I whispered to my wife, I go, "I bet you this guy recognized us from Howell Screen," because it was right across the stream, and it was the time right across the street, and it's the time we were doing Hall Scream. We were both actors. And the guy had looked away, and then he looked back at me. He goes, "I'm sorry, excuse me, but are you in a movie called Dirty Cop No Donut?" And I go, "Well, it depends if you liked it or not." He goes, "Are you kidding? It's my favorite movie. Is that you?" And I go, "Yeah." And he goes, "I knew it." He goes, "I can't believe I'm meeting Gus Kimball, Dirty Cop No Donut. Will you sign my receipt?" I go, "Sure." So several times, once I was in my suit and tie, I was picking my wife up at work. I got out of my car, or I think I had the Mustang, and I got out of the Mustang, and this guy across the street goes, "Mr. Wynkoop, can I get your autograph?" I don't know this guy. He just saw my talk show, and I went right over to him, and he wanted to get a picture with me, and his wife got out to get a picture with me, and he got me an autograph. And so those times are really cool. I'm still waiting for the time where someone comes up and goes, "Yeah, you Joel Wynkoop?" And I go, "Yeah, I sure am. I hate your movies. I'm going to punch you out, man."
Wow.
So, yeah, the ones when you're recognized and people really enjoy it. Even Publix, I was shopping. My wife and I are in there shopping for groceries, and some guy goes, "Mr. Wynkoop," because he reckons the TV show was actually on television, so people were seeing it every week. So those times are very cool when you get recognized from something.
When did you form your talk show? Was it like on the internet or local TV?
It was on local TV. It was in, I want to say maybe 2008, 2006, something like that. I had the Joel. Well, first of all, the Joel Wynkoop show was there was 4 or 5 reincarnations, because other people would call me and say, "Hey, I want you to come to my studio. I'll shoot it here." All those got on television, plus YouTube, internet, all that crap. But my main focus was I had it on television. And then as I was doing the talk show, and I did a lot of them, it was right in the middle of doing, and I wouldn't have my shows prepared. I would do my show and then put it together and then get it to the TV station. The girls always hated me because you're always coming at the last second. Why don't you do these things ahead of time? And I go, I don't know. This is how I work. And then right in the middle of the talk show, I go, I don't want to do a talk show no more. I want to do a TV show. I want to do something like Lost in Space or Land of the Giants or Time Tunnel. So that's when I created Joel Wynkoop's The Other Side. I called my buddy Anthony Wayne. I go, you want to be in this? And he was always like, yeah, I want to do something. So we did actually 10 episodes, and I got a guy in Fort Lauderdale. He got me on the air. He gave me all the money because it was after I did the Uh-Oh show, and he really liked me in the Uh-Oh show. And I got it. So I got the money. I was able to put it on television, and then it played the whole, I think there was 9 episodes and then a 10th one I did later. And then it kind of went into a rerun thing because I didn't have any more. Actually, I called the guy and asked him for more money. He goes, well, Joel, you haven't, I thought you were going to make me money. I'm just giving you money, so I can't give you any more. And I was like, but he did, because then he financed one of my movies. But yeah, so that was running on television every week. So I could be out anywhere and someone would, I hadn't had any from The Other Side, but if I was out, they could have, because they would have seen it on television. And like I said, the talk show too aired at the same place before I did, The Other Side. I was doing the talk show. So that was cool too, to always be out there, getting your stuff out there where people can see it. And that's why I'm always about, like, I like festivals or whatever, but you show your movie once and you're done. I take it to the extreme. I'll show it at the festival. Then I get I have several distributors. I got a place that does my DVDs. They do them. Then I sell them everywhere I can on my, whether I'm at a convention as a guest, I sell them, or just if it's off Facebook, or the guy at the gas station. Hey, Joel, you got a movie with you? Yeah, bring it in. I want to buy it. Okay. So all that's awesome,
man. So we'll backtrack a bit here. You were born in Owatonna, Minnesota. So how did you make the move to Tampa?
Owatonna, Minnesota, born there. We were in Bixby for a while, Bixby, Minnesota. Then ended up in Lake. No, before that it would have been not St. Paul, but not Lake Elmo. Wow, I can't think of that. Spring Valley, Minnesota. So we were there for a while. And then from Spring Valley, I think we moved to Lake Elmo, Minnesota. And then we were there for quite a long time. And then in 72, I think we moved to Lake Park, Florida. And then it was there for quite a while in Lake Park till we moved to another part of Lake Park. And then I think we ended up, where did we go from Lake Park? Because then I guess we were still in Lake Park when my dad passed away. I'd started going to school in Tampa at Tampa Tech, which is not here no more, but Tampa Tech. And then I came back to see my dad because they passed me a note in class. And that was, you better come home right now. And I came home, got to see my dad. I thought everything was okay. I went back. They gave me another note the next night in class. And before I could get home, my dad died.
Oh, no.
Yeah, because my Aunt Valerie came to the school, and I was coming out the door, and my nephew Mark was right behind me, and she was at the bottom of the stairs. And I went, hey, hey, we're having a visit. How nice. Hi, Aunt Valerie, how are you? And she's like, come with me, Joel. And she put her arm around me, and she walked me to the car. She opened up the back door. She goes, get in. And I'm thinking, this is so weird. What's going on? She closed the door behind me. She got in the front seat, and she looked at me, and she said, your dad's dead. Oh.
Shit.
It was no. And then I started crying, of course.
What year was this?
1982. And then my nephew saw me, and he was like, what's the matter with Joel? And that was my uncle, or that was married to Valerie. And he walked Mark to a different car, got him inside, and he goes, your grandfather's dead. Oh, man. And then we got over kind of that, got back to my apartment, and then we all jumped in my car, and we, drove all the way back to Port St. Lucie to be with, the family and everything. And then just, stuff, whatever. I ended up moving up to Fort Pierce on my own. And then I ended up moving over to Tampa, and that's where I've been ever since.
What did your father do for a living?
Oh, my dad was a minister.
Okay. So
That is why I did Lost Faith. I wanted to do my brother-in-law, Carl, which he passed away too. He always said, he goes, you and I have to have a talk because God's told me that you're supposed to be a minister and you're going to minister to people and you're going to be in a church and you'll be the minister. And I was like, yeah, that's fine, but I want to make movies. And he says, well, you can't do these movies. And I'm thinking, I can do these movies and I can still spread a message. And I did it with Lost Faith. And I know I did because a lot of people told me that they got the message about, having God in their life through my movie. And I did it also with The Bite too. So I was always like, if I can spread, God's message and I can put it into a movie, then I think that's pretty cool. And it's not like, but it's not forced down your throat. Like some people do a Christian movie and they're just like, through the whole thing, they're jamming it down your throat. Mine's not like that. It was a guy going to go, save his wife and he's beat half to death. And that's when he learned. The guy was telling him, you need God in your life. And Nakota was like, I don't need God. I kick ass. What's God going to do for me? Until he gets his ass beat. And then he's like on his knees and he says a prayer. And it's not that he becomes a superhero. His faith is just restored. So he's able to stand up for himself. And he's able to fight back. And people that saw the movie, I remember one guy, when I sold it to him, on my route with Crystal Water, because I always had movies with me, and I would sell them. My boss didn't really like that. He goes, "Hey, you keep coming in here saying you made $200 today. The guys are getting mad. They want to take cookies and they want to take shit. Now you better stop doing that." But this one particular guy sold him a copy of the movie, and he was always GD this, JC this. I go, "Man, you swear a lot, man." I go, "You should not do that." He goes, "Oh yeah, that's just the way I am, JC and GD it." And then I saw him.
He's just trying to instigate.
No, he was a super cool guy, but that's just how he was. That's how he was raised. And then I came across him again like 6 years later, because I was at Crystal Water for 20 years. And I came back, same type area. It was Avenue D, which we had a lot of gunshot, drive-by shootings and stuff. A lot of, when I drove my route, I didn't like being on Avenue D. I really had to watch myself because people the Coca-Cola guy got mugged and beaten half to death in one of the stores. So I was always with my guard up. But I saw this guy again, and he was coming up with a Cadillac, and it said Jesus on his license plate. And I said, this is not the same guy I knew 6 years ago. And when he got out, he goes, "My life's changed. I've turned it over to Jesus Christ, and I believe in God." I go, "When did that happen?" He goes, "I don't know. The last time I saw you." I go, "Did you know that's what my movie was about?" He goes, "Oh, I didn't know that," because it just went into his brain. And I mean, people can say coincidence all they want, but I have these feelings when I know something has worked, whether it's a prayer or because it was an idea, because his life was all completely turned around. He was the totally different guy. He was not, using the Lord's name in vain, and he was just turned around. But so it made me feel good. I got to do a movie with martial arts, and I got to do Monty Python humor and Martin and Lewis humor. And I got to put in a thing about, you need God in your life. And, and I got to have fun with the whole thing. And that was and my nephew came up with he came over and he goes, "Uncle Joel," he didn't call me Uncle Joel. This is older in life, but I think I was 27 or something. But Mark came over. He goes, "Hey, Joel, I got an idea for the name of your movie," because I hadn't named it yet. It was like Karate Island and the War of the Karate Man and stuff like that. And he came over and he goes, "You should call your movie Lost Faith." And he drew a little picture of a karate guy, and there was a gun and a cross. And I go, "Man, that's awesome. Can I use that?" And he's like, "Yeah, I made it for you." That's where the name came from.
Man. Mouthful. So, what kept you going besides faith? Was it really just the passion for like, hey, by what it means, I'm going to be in some kind of movie, some way, somehow?
Well, yeah, it was. I mean, yeah, I'm in no way perfect, but I'm a Christian, and I swear I get mad. I get mad in traffic. I scream at people. I'll fight people. But I pull back from. I'll do whatever I can to stay out of a fight, because I don't. If something happens and I hurt somebody and put them in the hospital, or God forbid kill them or something because we get into a bad fight, I'll feel horrible. I would rather run away like a bitch than stand there and beat the living shit out of somebody and then kill them, break their arm. Because you know everybody's like a badass until you whoop their ass. Then you know what they do? Then they want to sue you. And I'm going, 15 minutes ago, you were a fucking badass. Now you're going to sue me? You know?
Right.
So, yeah. So, and that's what I say when I like other actors will come, hey, could I be in your movie? And I try and, help them out, put them in. Same thing on the street. You see some guy, I'm like, oh, I'm going to give him a couple bucks, but you got to watch it because you don't know who really needs it and who's going to knife you when you get close. So if I see somebody down on their luck, I might say, hey, man, did you need a couple bucks? Oh, man, thanks. Or open the door for a girl, still do that, even though half the time the girls are like, oh, man, you're trying to rape me? I just opened the door for you. What's your problem? And anything like that to be, to be a decent person. And Christianity doesn't even have to come into it. Just be a decent person. You don't have to have God in your life. Just be decent. Don't walk around trying to kill somebody or be an asshole to people. Just be decent to people. So I think that was my upbringing from my dad. And then, I just, when of course, going back to playing Batman and all that stuff. And then once I got to Lake Park, I saw, King Kong was an armature and that it was moved, 4 frames. And then Godzilla was a guy. I was like, man, I'd like to make movies. And my dad said, I'll take you to my pipe shop and I'll buy you a camera. It's a camera. They had pipe and the smoke stuff you put in the pipe because he smoked a pipe. And they had... Nice. Then they had cameras and stuff. So we saw a Yashica Super 8 camera, and my dad got the guy. He goes, I'll buy the camera from you, but I want a cartridge of film for him. I want this tripod. It was a little chain tripod to go with it. And I think it got all of it for $20. And that's, and a cartridge of film. And that's what really started me. And that's when I put Tim in my movies. And Tim and I talked about it recently. I go, Tim, I think I'm the reason you got into making movies is because you were in my movies. And then in the time I moved away from that section of Lake Park and left him, he picked up what he calls a Super 8 green stamp camera. He got a camera, and then he started making movies. So we were talking about that not too long ago, and he was like, yeah, you might be right because I put him in my movies. And now, of course, he saw Halloween, and that's what inspired him. But it might have been because I put him in my movies first, way back.
Man, in business.
But and then I just kept going from there. Then it was kind of like, even when we stopped for a while, that's what's kind of like it was meant to be because Kmart, which was the Walmart of the day, Kmart.
Right.
I went to Kmart to get my Super 8 film. Yeah, right. And they were like, oh, we can't find it. And I was like, you can't find it. It was the end of my life. I was like, oh,
can't
my God.
Or won't.
We're doing the $8 million boy. I have to have that reel of film. So I told Steve, I go, they can't find the reel of film. Then we just lost interest in making it because they didn't have this. And then like 6 to 7 months later, I don't think it was a year. I used to think it was a year, but it was probably less than that. I get a phone call and they go, is this Joel Wynkoop? And I go, yeah. They go, we were going through our movies here and we got a reel of film here for you. And I go, oh my God, I'll be right there. And I hung up the phone, got on my bike. I remember yelling to Steve, they found the film. And I rode my bicycle up to Kmart. It was far too. Rode away up to Kmart, went in there. They gave it to me. I gave them there. I think it was like $4 or $5. And man, ran that home, got it in my projector. I found it. And then we kept making the movie. And then the next thing you know, and people now, it's so easy when you're editing because I did it when it was on film and you cut the film and you spliced it and you ran it through your little projector and you make scratches on the films to make.
This is before Blair Witch, where you could check out a camcorder.
Yeah. So, and once I did that, we were doing all these Super 8 movies. And then I got Tim was in the $8 Million Boy. And then he was in the dinosaur movie. He gave me a dinosaur to use. That's one of the first ones we did. And then Steve and I did a slew of movies until I moved away again. And then, of course, had filmmaking. And then I did a movie for filmmaking, which was the Escape from Banyule 4, which is a sci-fi. And everybody, that's the one where everybody's like, I want to be in your group. I want to be in your group. And so then I did that. And then my nephew called me on the phone one day and he goes, hey, in our paper at Jupiter High School, there was Jupiter War Cry newspaper, and he goes, there's a kid in here named Tim Ritter selling a movie called Day of the Reaper. Is that the Tim Ritter you used to take care of, 10, 11, 12, 13 years ago? And I go, I don't know. Give me the number. Is there a number? And he goes, yeah. And I called, and it was Mrs. Ritter answered. And I kind of went back in my head 10 years, and I like, well, is Tim allowed? Is he up this? She goes, Joel, he's 17. He's out with his friend. I'll have him call you when he gets home. And I was like, okay. And then Tim called me back, and that's how me and him hooked up. And I helped him market Day of the Reaper. And then we said we should do something together. And we were going to do one called Inner Forces, but it was too technical that, I just said, we can't do this, man. And then that's when we did the Twisted Illusions and formed our company name, Tim came up with Twisted, I came up with Illusions, formed the company name, and we just started making movies. And that's how it all really got going.
Man, you're on it. So you, what are your biggest influences when you make or on any movie or channel any character? What kinds of, just any kind of film, would you say you channel a lot of, or for inspiration?
A lot. When I started, let's see, we did Twisted Illusions. So that was just Tim and I wanting to do it. I wasn't even supposed to be in that. I was just going to be directing my scenes. And what happened is Tim said, I was thinking about that one guy from the actors rep. He could play Mike Strawber. He goes, but when we auditioned him, he didn't seem to be, Tim said, I really need the guy to be more out of control. And the guy he was good, but he was kind of mellow, but I need him to be like yelling and out of control. So, and we're sitting in my apartment when we're talking about this. And so I told Tim, I go, what, like this? Rip out your tongue. I dare you to rip your tongue out. Truth or dare. And Tim goes right away. He goes, man, you got to do it. And I go, me? And he goes, yeah, you gotta be Mike Strawber. That was great. You got to do this. And I went, oh, and I done acting with my Super 8 stuff. So I said, okay. And that's how I ended up doing Mike Strawber in Twisted Illusions. And that was a lot because Tim and I were both into horror movies, Friday the 13th, Evil Dead. But as things progressed, then we did Truth or Dare, and then Killing Spree. And then that's when I said, now I want to make a movie. I'm going to make this. And that's when my nephew said you should call it Lost Faith. And I was writing it, and man, I couldn't go do what I did then. Cause I was like writing county commissioners and the sheriff's department and the police department.
Oh, really?
And I was getting weapons people. And man, I was doing, I look back on it now and go, how the hell did I do all that? But I put it all together, and then I made Lost Faith. And of course, when I got into martial arts then, but also my nephew came to me and he goes, you got to see this guy. He's really cool in this movie. And he's a karate guy. And I go, no, you can get around karate. Karate's not a big deal. And he goes, no, you really got to come see him. He's really, really good. He jumps through a windshield of a car. And I'm going, it sounds dumb. And it was Good Guys Wear Black. And then I became a Chuck Norris fan after I saw that. And I'm like, now I really want to do this. And then I think, because I sometimes get the things backwards, but the Chuck Norris thing, Good Guys Wear Black. Then I think I was already in martial arts then with my instructor, Richard. But then the movie, I was writing the movie, and then I ended up doing I'm sure I did the movie way after that, but that was my inspiration. And then, of course, Kurt Russell from Snake Plissken and Escape from New York, Bruce Lee, of course, Chuck Norris, Steven Seagal, all these action heroes. And then sci-fi, Captain Kirk on Star Trek, and all these other things. And then I was like, I want to do these scenes like these guys are doing. I want to be Captain Kirk when he's like, death or total destruction. It's up to you. I want to do that stuff. So how can I do that? And then I got an agent in Boynton Beach and Boca Talent. And I started doing, TV commercials and BL Stryker with Burt Reynolds. And I remember that because the guy said, he goes, you know why I picked you? I go, why? He goes, your headshots. And these is the day we used black and white. He goes, your black and white headshot with your shirt off and that angry look on your face. He goes, that's why I picked you. And I was like, oh, cool. Thanks. I got a lot of jobs from that, even though people are going, well, they don't take headshots when they're split apart anymore. That's not, now you do just a full 8x11, but those were comp cards, and I did those, and they worked. And I even used the comp card because I didn't like just the headshot. I used my comp cards, and I had another guy on a thing where they put a big beard on me, and a squirrel comes out of the beard. But he told me, he goes, you know how you got this job? And I go, how? He goes, that headshot of you with your shirt off and you're looking really nasty with a baseball bat. He goes, that's the guy I want.
Man. So
they all
you picked everything. You can't say you didn't make your own career, you know?
Yeah, and it was, and I still try and do that now. I try to make every character different, not just like it just, you know,
play yourself.
If a hero's coming on and they go, okay, here's James Sasquatch, and then my character's coming in going, I'm James Sasquatch, but in Truth or Dare, hi, I'm Dan Hess. But in The Bite, I'm like, hi, I'm Nick Hazard. No, everybody's different. So Dan Hess was like, I'm Dr. Dan Hess. What's going on here? But Nick Hazard was like, you stinking vampires are pissing me off. And so I try, or even the pilot in Clownado. When I got there in Missouri and Todd picked me up at the airport, I go, hey, Todd, and I didn't have time to really read the script. I read the script on the plane and I learned my lines on the plane getting there. And I asked Todd, I said, hey, Todd, I kind of added some stuff to the characters that he goes, shit, man, that's why I hired you. Yes. Bring Joel Wynkoop to my set. And when we got there, he just let me run with it. He gave me a whole disc just to myself. It was the Hawk behind the scenes or something like that. But he's got me in the airplane when I'm supposed to be flying it. And I'm going, Captain, I'm giving her all she's got. He just let me go nuts. So Todd was awesome just to let me run with all that stuff. But yeah, so I try to make every character different. In Like Animator, the other kids I was working with, I was down by the tree where they were supposed to spot me, and Dustin and all them were up on the hill. And I was grabbing bark off the tree and rubbing it on my face. And then I would punch the tree with my fists really hard and then rub more of that. And they told me later, they're all up there going, what's he doing? Trying to break the tree in half.
They're intimidated by it. They're like, what are you doing?
Or I think they just thought and then Dustin told him, because that's Joel Wynkoop. He's getting into his character. So by the time I got up there in the car, they're probably all like, is he going to kill us? I had one guy in New York,
God.
Ben Stansky. He worked so hard on one of the movies, and Phil Herman went to him and said, how's the edit coming? Are you about done? And Ben was like, I got to get it done. I got to do it perfect. Joel's a creep. He'll come up here and kill me. And Phil goes, wait a minute, Ben, what are you talking about? He goes, you saw him in that movie Creep? And Phil goes, yeah, he's an actor playing a character. No, he's really like that in real life. If I don't make this perfect, he's going to come kill me. No, leave me alone while I try and make a scene perfect.
Why would you make a movie where someone's going to kill you? My God.
But yeah, so I try and, you know, when I'm doing a movie, I always try and make that character a little different from the last one, whether he's a hero. Like Steve Nakota is way different from Dan Hess or Nick Hazard or any of my other characters. And in fact, even in my latest movie, the Craigline Incident 3, Annihilation, when Steve Nakota is brought into this world with the aliens, he meets up with one of my other counterparts. And when they're splitting up, when my counterpart, Parsons Cooper, tells him, you go back, Nakota, go back and fight because I've seen the future and it ain't pretty. And when Nakota starts to leave, he turns around and he goes, yo, Parsons. And it's me doing both roles, of course. And then Parsons says, yeah, what's up? And Nakota says, may God be with you. And Parsons has no concept of what God is. So he's just like, yeah, okay, you too, man. But Nakota would do that from Lost Faith and also from the short Nakota, because he's this Christian who puts himself in these positions where he has to fight bad guys, but he always asks God to be there with him to help him through what he's got to go through. So therefore I try to keep the characters separate. I don't have Dan Hess stopping in the middle of a scene going, wait, I have to pray to God before I go look for the Copper Mask Killer. No, he just goes, but Nakota would. So I try and keep all those characters different. So when people watch a movie, I hope they don't say, oh, that's just the same as the other guy he played. I hope they look at it and go, no, he's playing a different character.
Man. So, in a ways, you pretty much that's how you became an actor of the community. You essentially, you just kept inspiring people, and they hadn't seen anything like you and your persona before. And faith really kept you going also in that you're using it in the best way possible, just for confidence boosting and just straightforward ethics,
Yeah, it was something I wanted to do. And and no matter what, even though there was always people, there was this guy, Larry Silver from the Barn Theater, where I did a haunted house thing. And I called him years after the Barn, I don't know, 2 years or something. I called him on the phone. I go, hey, Larry, me and my friend, Tim Ritter, we're going to make a movie. And I was talking about Twisted Illusions. And right away, he goes, wait, what are you talking about? What do you mean you're making a movie? And I go, well, my buddy Tim Ritter and I were making this movie, and I was going to see if I could get some actors from your acting group. And you can't make a movie. And I go, well, I'm sorry. What do you mean? He goes, you have no experience. You can't make a movie. You probably haven't had any acting lessons. Somebody that makes a movie has to go to plays. And I go, well, I go to plays. And he goes, you got to go to movies. I go to movies. Yeah, but you're not experienced enough. You can't ask people to be in your movie. You're not experienced enough. You're wasting people's times. You can't go out there and tell I'm not going to send you any of my people. You can't. And he just went on and on and on. He's yelling at me. And I finally just said, hey, man, and I don't want to be mean. I was taught not to be mean. So I'm like, all right, Larry, it was great talking to you, man. Take care. Bye. And now 182 movies later, of him telling me that I can't make a movie and Tim and I can't make movies. So that's always stuff, you run up against. I remember one guy, I was telling him about Lost Faith. I was at one of my stops. It was a radio station. And the guy goes, oh, yeah, well, you're doing that little movie, but I need $50 million for mine. And I go, well, while you're waiting for that $50 million, I'll have knocked out 200 movies.
Right.
So, yeah, it was just the thing. It was just, I enjoyed acting and making these movies. So I just pushed myself to keep making movies. And when I came to Tampa, it got even bigger. And then Tim and I had the Fangoria article. People started, getting to know who I was. Marcus Cook wanted me for Rot. And then Kevin Lindemuth for Alien Agenda. And then Tim had gone on his way. And then I came to Tampa. And then I did Dark Dimensions over here with John Lewis and all these movies here. And then it was all of a sudden I'm being paid to fly to Minnesota and go to Chicago and go to New York and go to, Indiana and Tennessee and Kentucky and Missouri to do other people's movies. So it was like, I'm doing just what the big guys are doing. I'm just not making as much money, but I'm having a ball with it. And I just really, enjoy it.
Do you still work for local government or?
For what do you mean?
Do you still work at like the county sheriff's office or other places similar to that? Or?
Oh, no, no. Oh, you mean like writing them like I did in Lost Faith?
Oh, I thought you also said you worked for also just local county.
Oh, no, I'm sorry. No, that was just when I was doing Lost Faith. I was talking to the sheriff's department and police department. I was writing county commissioners and all the stuff I wouldn't do today. I'm like, now I'm driving in my car and I saw something one day. I told my wife, I go, I want to shoot here. You go up there with me? And she goes, baby, I am not going up that hill with you. And I was like, yeah, I don't want nothing to happen to her. So I stopped on my own, put the space suit on, grabbed the laser gun out of the truck, out of the van. And I went up the hill. I took my camera up there, or the camera was down. And then I'm doing this alien coming up over the hill and shooting at cars. Well, I thought I could just hurry up and do it and get out of there. The next thing I know, I'm coming down the hill and there's 7 sheriff cars there waiting for me. And they go, are you Joel Wynkoop? Because they knew me from TV and the movie guy and everything. I go, yeah. They go, what are you doing, man? I said, I really thought I could just knock this out really quickly. He goes, no, we got several police calls. They said aliens were invading the earth and there's an alien on a hill shooting cars as they drove by. And the cops were laughing and I was laughing. I go, really? And he goes, no, that's the actual phone calls we got. And they said they couldn't see the lasers coming out of your gun because they were invisible. But aliens had landed and they were taking over the town. So that was my latest run-in with the law. When we did Alien Agenda, the cops pulled their guns on me on that. When I was doing my Super 8 stuff, the cops pulled the guns on me because we climbed over the fence at my high school on the weekend. We're shooting a movie with laser guns, and the police showed up there. So I've had a ton of run-in with the law doing movies.
Oh, hey, at least it, didn't end in any kind of arrest. They understood you totally and thought you were a cool guy.
Tim got arrested when Tim was doing his Super 8 movie. He said they just shot the movie of one of the kids coming out of a liquor store running with the gun, and they went around the back, and everybody met around the back. And Tim was going, all right, that's good. Now we're going to go. And Jupiter police, 8 cars surrounded them and arrested all of them and took them to jail. And Tim had to call his dad to come down. And he goes, yeah, that the one kid that was my good friend, that's why his parents hate me, because they had to come down and bail him out of jail. And Tim, same way, he goes, yeah, my dad had to come get me. Everybody had to come down and claim their kids, and everybody hated me and was really mad at me after that.
Man.
Yeah.
Well, so would you also say that just, again, everyone just lights up, just the minute you're in the room, just you get all this positive energy for the most part, because people just, they literally want to hang out about you and pick your brain and say, hey, I want to keep going like you. Aside from these assholes you've described this whole time, I've never encountered anyone who said, oh, Joel, he's a bad actor or any bullshit like that, even if they haven't liked some of your low budget movies because they're picky that way or whatever, or think everything has to be Christopher Nolan. But
yeah.
So what would you also say is your top role to date that like you're just the proudest of? I mean, you're proud of everything and grateful and all that, but I just mean just like character that you're just like, yeah, I'm just so damn proud of that performance. That just means the world to me.
You're right though, because I don't have any complaints of working with anybody. I like everybody I've worked with, Tim, Todd, and just everybody that I've worked for, Jason Stevenson. Everybody's been so very cool to me, and it was never said a hurtful thing or just appreciated everything I did for them. And so I enjoy all the roles, but yeah, I think probably, again, I'm not want to put anybody that I don't like their roles. I like everything I do. I like them all, but I think what stands out a lot is Fred Finagler from the Uh-Oh Show for Herschel Gordon Lewis. I really enjoyed doing that. It was it was a lot of dialogue. I remember spending 2 hours in one room trying to get the dialogue down because I just came off another movie for Jason LaCorey with Debbie Rashan played my wife, and that was Stop Dead. I finished that movie, came home, went to bed with my wife, got up, went to St. Pete, and started shooting on Herschel Gordon Lewis's The Uh-Oh Show. So that Fred Finagler, and then maybe it's because, working with Herschel and everything, but that meant I liked that character a lot because I really, really dove in and became that character. But like I said, I like all my characters. I like all the ones I played have always been fun. But I think I spent the most time on that trying to either develop the character and then learn all that dialogue in such a short time. Because like I said, I just came off one movie. I didn't really have time to start studying for the other movie. Yeah, but that Fred Finagler role, I think that would be one of my favorites. And I always like doing Dan Hess. I like playing that character. But see, that leads me down that road where after I say that, then I'm like, but Nick Hazard is really fun and Steve Nakota. But I'd probably put Fred Finagler at the top.
Man. That's wild. And so would you also say that, what actors do you think you were studying the most?
What actors I was looking at?
Yeah. For your performances.
Well, Chuck Norris for the martial arts. And then I would say Pacino, just because I really liked what Pacino would offer to his roles. Kurt Russell, just because of Snake Plissken. De Niro, just because he's De Niro. I like Tom Cruise from the Mission Impossible movies. I thought those were great. But yeah, I mean, there's a lot of actors. I could probably go on and on and on, but those probably would be kind of the top ones. William Shatner, because I'm a Star Trek fan.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I don't know, just the people that I see in a movie or something, I might be like, oh yeah, I want to do Dirty Harry, Clint Eastwood. You know, that was a big one to me. Tim got me really hooked on Dirty Harry. I mean, I remember seeing Dirty Harry back in right when it came. Well, of course, played at a movie theater. Then it was on television. But I remember I was in Minnesota, so it must have been 72, 74, because I was going up the stairs at my brother's house, and my other brother was there. And I remember Wally saying to my dad, he goes, Dad, you got to watch this. And my dad stopping, and that's when Harry goes, he's got his gun on the guy, and he goes, I know what you're thinking. Did he fire 6 shots or only 5? Well, to tell you the truth, I kind of lost track myself in all this excitement. But being this is the 44 Magnum, the most powerful handgun in the world, and it can blow your head clean off, you got to ask yourself this one question. Do I feel lucky? Well, punk, do ya? And I just say, and that was my start of it, because I saw that, you know, at such a young age, whatever I was, 15 or whatever, seeing that and not really thinking anything of it. But then later in life going, I remember seeing that way back when. I didn't really care about it, but now I'm seeing it and it's awesome. So I still think Clint Eastwood should make one more Dirty Harry movie.
You might as well, but it's pretty up there. He's in his 90s now. So just final closing thoughts, and any projects you want to plug.
Well, I'm finishing up right now. This is close. I've gone through 10 discs already, and I keep correcting audio and correcting music and edits. And but that's my movie. The Craigline Incident is 3 movies. It was the Craigline Incident, the Craigline Incident 2 Aftermath, the Craigline Incident 3 Annihilation. That's the last of the Craigline movies. Then I told Phil Herman, is my partner up in New York, and I told him, just give me a couple weeks to enjoy the enjoyment of being done with the movie and getting it to my my duplicator and then getting it in my hands. And then we move right into Horror Tales Part 3. That's our next thing. I told Phil, I said, he's really did a lot of the work. Phil's already done it. And Marcello Fabani's done a lot of work on this already to help me out, because they know the Craigline thing is just killing me. I come in here at 4 p.m. and I don't leave till 5 the next morning editing. You know, my wife hates it. She hates it, but she understands my passion. And then Horror Tales. So we want to do that. Part 3. We'll do that. Phil and I got one that we collaborated on called the Owen Brothers. We want to do that. I have one I started before I did Craigline Incident. I started one called Beast Mode with Debbie Rashan and Lloyd Kaufman, and got all Debbie's scenes shot, got all Lloyd's scenes. And they're not like Lloyd coming out going, hi, I'm Lloyd Kaufman, and then he's gone. He plays a major role in it. And I just, you know, shot it all. I said, can you guys come up to the hotel room and we'll shoot it all? So, you know, I got that. I have to go back and finish that. And then I had another one I wrote for my wife, Onslaught, but it's very, I told her it's like a Chuck Norris role. I said, you're going to get dirty and you got to run. And we did a short called Dead End, and that was her trial run for that. Cause I said, you're not my wife now. You're an actress. So I'm going to be like, no, do that again. That was horrible. What are you doing? That's not how you shoot a gun. That is not how you punch somebody. Throw your kick higher. What, come on. So I said, that's your breaking in for Onslaught. Now, I don't know if we'll ever get to that, but hopefully we still get to do that. And then, you know, who knows what comes along. I'm kind of at a point where I'm just like, maybe I should just take it easy for a while. And I always say I want to get back to writing my book, which I never do. I've only got 100 pages done or something. And I'm always like, I need to get back and finish that. But the movies are just so much fun to do. And the editing is driving me crazy now, but I got so many effects, and I use an effects artist from Australia. He does a lot of my effects and pulling my hair out. So I kind of want to get back to a normal movie where it's not aliens and spaceships and laser guns and more like Star Trek, where people are, you know, beaming here and beaming there and blowing ships up and stuff. So whatever comes down the line, you know, that stuff, and then whatever else comes down the line.
Okay, excellent. Well, thank you ever so much for being here, and glad you're staying safe out there. I know Florida's a hot zone for COVID at the moment, so I'm glad you're still able to make some movies and not have any incidents.
Well, Craigline Incident 1, 2, and 3, they were all shot that way because it at COVID, when it came to our country, they were talking on TV, this disease is here, blah, blah, blah. And they were saying, don't, stay in your homes, you can't go anywhere. I told my wife, I go, are they telling me I can't go out? She goes, no, baby, you can go out, but they don't want you lingering around, going to concerts, blah, blah, blah. So I go, well, they're not going to stop me. I'm going to make a movie. So I went on my porch and I had her shoot a scene of me talking, and then she turned around, and then I had a scene of me talking back to myself, cut it together. And I go, this is stupid. And then I called Phil and I said, you want to do something? And he's like, yeah. And I called Sean C. Phillips and said, you want to do something? He goes, yeah. And even my wife, as I'm cutting those little scenes together, I go, do you want to be in this movie? She goes, nah, baby, I don't want to be in that. But then months later, as I'm doing it, she walked in my office and she saw how cool it was. And she goes, can I be in this movie? I go, you said you didn't want to be in it. She goes, well, I do now. But it was all done with COVID in mind. Nobody was together in the scenes unless they were married, already living together in a house. And then the ones I shot live were from 10 feet away, trying to be, because I took this COVID thing. I don't know if it was a joke or whatever, but it was for filmmakers and stay safe and blah, blah, blah. So I adhered to all that through, part 1, part 2, and part 3. That's how I did that. And a lot of the scenes were sent to me from Dublin, Ireland, and from Japan and England. So not just in our country, people sending me stuff, but all over the world. And then all the scenes I put together with all my actors. So I did it safely. And I don't know why my local news won't give me a spot saying, look, this guy made 3 movies during COVID. They'll put anybody on TV that did a 15-second movie, and they're like, oh, it's 15 seconds long, but he wore a mask and was COVID. I did 3 freaking movies, man. You guys don't even do a story on me, and I kept it COVID safe.
Right.
So whatever, I did it the way I thought that, your whatever would want you to do it because, to be safe. So, and that's how I did it.
We'll return after these messages.
JURS Podcast is proud to promote AutoCorrect, an independent film company with experienced industry professionals who can serve all your film industry needs. They include self-tapes, voice actor recordings, demo reel editing, script revisions, headshots, and much more. They're Actor Correct at your request. Book them on Instagram.
Hey, feeling down? Feeling low? Not enough podcasts about movies in your life? Why not try
They must be destroyed on sight.
the new Podcast Cure-All, sure to get you right with the world and on a path to better living. We have exploitation, we have Italian horror, we have zombies, we have slashers, we have crime films, we have spaghetti westerns, we even have sci-fi and sex comedies. So take a dose of
They must be destroyed on sight.
as needed, and let the hosts, Lee Russell, Daniel Harper, Paul Romali, and the odd guest host cure what ails you.
Warning, may cause atrophy, African consumption, black fever, bone shave, chin cough, colic, cramp colic, dropsy of the brain, elephantitis, grocer's itch, jaundice, mania, miasma, mortification, palsy, Pott's disease, rheumatism, scurvy, St. Anthony's fire, summer complaint, and worm fit in some people. Consult a physician before listening.
Did you ever see a film at such a young age it left you traumatized with cinematic wounds? Necrophilia. It's a dead issue, man. Don't push it. Cinema Psyops is a weekly podcast documenting an ongoing experiment on the mind of an unwilling test subject.
No one should have to watch this movie.
Oh, no one should have to watch this?
No one should have to watch this movie.
Surprisingly, it's not a topic that a lot of people really want to tackle.
I'm shocked, prudes.
I know, really.
Right?
It's the next sexual frontier that no one wants to explore.
I am, in the most sincerest of senses, disappointed in you.
It takes a powerful goddess like Connie, jam her arm down the monster's throat and kill it. Oh, I'm still tripping out over that. Even as a kid, I was like, I gotta find a girl like that. Every week, I get a new look of disappointment that I never thought I could get out of her.
Unimaginable. At 12 years old, you should not be watching this movie.
Obviously.
At 13, you should not be. 14, you shouldn't be. I'm not entirely sure even 17-year-olds should be watching this.
Just because you're offended by something doesn't mean that you have the right to demand that it doesn't exist. Watching this film again, I had all of this like little nerd glee with everything that kept
little
popping
history
up.
doll popping up
absolutely.
at you.
So I totally loved this film.
Hey, I know why you couldn't see that. It's because your brain's warped from watching this shit at 12 years old.
Yeah, this is a rough movie. I told you ahead of time when we were getting ready to do it that it was
How
going to be
could
a
you
rough
watch
one.
this shit at 12?
Because physical wounds heal, cinematic ones don't. Listen to Cinema Psyops.
Hey everybody, I'm Corey.
And I'm Zach, and we're the hosts of Podcasting After Dark, a cast dedicated to late-night horror and sci-fi of the 80s and 90s, often found on HBO and Cinemax.
You know, the movies your parents didn't want you watching as a kid. You can find us every other week on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Podbean, and Stitcher.
This is what you want.
This is what you get.
Greetings, friends. My name is Dean Legero, and I'm the host of the 3324 podcast. I invite you to join me and my lifelong friend Eric Kuber to come with us as we discuss the music and movies that shaped our life. Each week, we'll pick an album or film that we really connect to, and not only give you some great info and trivia, but also discuss, debate, and celebrate what it means to us and the journey it took us on. We also look forward to hearing from you and giving us some of your picks for us to check out and discuss. I think it'll be a really fun experience, so come along with us for the ride. You can find us on your favorite podcast provider and at 3324.buzzsprout.com. Thanks for your time, and welcome to the 3324 family.
It's time, let's check our queue, baby. Pair it with a couple brews, baby. We love good movies. We love the bad ones too. So we watch them all and pass their lessons on to you. Oh yeah. Everything I learned from movies helps to make life a little bit groovy. With a one-liner plot, holes of gratuitous movies. It's time to get busy with your friend Steve and Izzy at eilfm.podbean.com.
We now continue with our program.
Follow us on the web on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. The podcast is available on Podbean, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Anchor, Apple, and anywhere else podcasts are available. Feel free to review our show and leave comments on any of those sites. Thanks a million for listening.
It's a jacked up review show. It's a jacked up review show.